Trading feels hard for you not because you are weak, not because you are slow, not because you are unlucky. Trading feels hard because it forces you to face parts of yourself most people never have to confront. Pressure, uncertainty, waiting, loss, silence, responsibility. Most areas of life give you feedback slowly. Trading gives it instantly. And instant feedback is uncomfortable because it does not allow excuses to hide. Every decision shows up clearly. Every mistake speaks loudly. Every emotion leaves a trace. And when you are not prepared for that level of honesty, trading feels heavy. It feels confusing. It feels unfair. It feels exhausting. You are not struggling because you lack intelligence. You are struggling because trading does not reward intelligence alone. It rewards behavior, and behavior is shaped by habits, emotions, and identity. Things most people never train. Trading is hard for you because it removes comfort. There is no boss to blame, no system to hide behind, no one to save you when you act emotionally. Every click is yours. Every result is yours, and that level of ownership scares the mind. The mind wants safety. It wants certainty. It wants reassurance. The market offers none of that. It only offers opportunity to those who can stay calm without guarantees. Most people are not trained for this. They are trained to seek approval, to wait for instructions, to avoid mistakes. Trading does the opposite. It demands decisions without permission. It demands acceptance of mistakes. It demands calm under pressure. That is why it feels so hard. You are not failing. You are untrained for this environment. And there is a difference. Trading is also hard because it attacks your sense of identity. When you lose, it does not just feel like money is gone. It feels like you are wrong, like you are not good enough, like you are behind. Most people tie their self-worth to outcomes without realizing it. So every loss feels personal. Every mistake feels like proof, and that emotional weight builds quickly. It creates fear. Fear creates hesitation. Hesitation creates poor decisions. Poor decisions create more losses, and suddenly trading feels impossible. But the problem is not the market. The problem is emotional attachment. Trading becomes hard when you want it to make you feel whole, when you want it to prove something, when you want it to save you, when you want it to change your life quickly. The market does not respond well to need. Need creates pressure. Pressure creates urgency. Urgency destroys clarity, and clarity is everything here. Trading is also hard because it punishes impatience. In most areas of life, effort equals progress. You study more, you get better grades, you work more, you earn more. Trading does not work that way. Trying harder often makes things worse. Watching more often creates confusion. Doing more often creates mistakes. This breaks the mind because you are taught that effort always pays. But in trading, restraint pays. Waiting pays. Doing nothing pays, and that feels wrong. So you fight it. You overtrade. You overthink. You overreact. And the harder you try, the worse it feels. Trading is hard because it requires you to unlearn instincts that worked everywhere else. Speed, urgency, reaction, emotion. Those traits help you survive in life. They hurt you in the market. The market rewards the opposite. Slowness, patience, stillness, detachment, and learning to reverse instincts takes time. It feels unnatural at first. It feels uncomfortable. It feels like you are doing nothing while others move, but this discomfort is part of the process. Trading is also hard because it exposes impatience with time. You want results now. You want progress now. You want proof now. But the market works on its own schedule. It does not care how long you have waited. It does not care how much you need it. It only responds to discipline repeated over time. And when time stretches without reward, doubt enters. Doubt whispers that you are wasting time, that others are ahead, that you should do something different. That voice is powerful. And if you listen to it, you break consistency. And when consistency breaks, trading becomes chaos. Trading is hard because it does not reward emotions evenly. A small mistake can cost a lot. A good decision can still lose. This feels unfair. But trading is not about fairness. It is about probability over time. And understanding that takes maturity. When you are new, every outcome feels like judgment. But outcomes are not judgments. They are feedback. Feedback is neutral. Your interpretation makes it painful. Trading is also hard because you watch money move in real time. Money represents security, freedom, status, safety, So when it moves against you, your body reacts. Heart rate increases, breathing changes, thoughts race. This is not weakness. This is biology. You are wired to protect resources. Trading constantly triggers this response, and if you do not train your nervous system, it will control your decisions. That is why trading feels overwhelming. You are fighting your own biology. Trading is hard because it asks you to sit with discomfort, to wait without knowing, to accept loss without revenge, to remain calm without reassurance. Most people are never taught how to do this. They are taught to escape discomfort. Trading forces you to face it, and facing discomfort is exhausting until you learn how. Trading is also hard because it requires consistency before confidence. Most people want confidence first. They want to feel ready. They want to feel sure. Trading does not give that. You must act disciplined before you feel confident, and that feels backward. So you hesitate, you wait for a feeling that never comes, or you act without discipline hoping confidence will follow. Both paths lead to frustration. Trading is hard because it requires emotional maturity, not intelligence, not talent. Maturity, the ability to accept mistakes without collapsing, the ability to win without becoming careless, the ability to lose without becoming desperate. These are life skills, not market skills, and most people never train them. That is why trading exposes weaknesses so quickly. It is not attacking you. It is revealing you. And revelation feels painful before it feels empowering. You must understand something deeply. Trading is not hard because you are incapable. It is hard because it demands personal growth. Growth always feels hard at first because it stretches you. It removes illusions. It removes shortcuts. It removes comfort. But inside that, difficulty is opportunity. If you learn to see trading as a mirror instead of an enemy, everything changes. The market is not trying to defeat you. It is showing you what needs work. Patience, discipline, emotional control, self-trust, responsibility. These are not built overnight, and they are not built through knowledge alone. They are built through repetition, through failure, through reflection, through time. Trading feels hard now because you are early in this process, because your habits are still forming, because your emotions are still loud, because your identity is still tied to outcomes. This does not mean you should quit. It means you are exactly where learning begins. And if you stay with this long enough, if you stop fighting the discomfort, if you stop blaming yourself, if you start observing instead of reacting, trading will not suddenly become easy, but it will become clear. And clarity makes difficulty manageable, because clarity does not arrive all at once. It arrives in small realizations, moments where you finally understand why you keep repeating the same mistakes, why you rush when you should wait, why you hesitate when you should act, why you feel confident at the wrong times and doubtful at the right ones. Trading is hard for you because it does not just test your skill, it tests your patterns. Patterns formed long before you ever opened a chart. How you deal with stress, how you deal with uncertainty, how you deal with responsibility, how you deal with being wrong. The market puts pressure on all of these at the same time. And when pressure rises, you do not become smarter. You become more like your habits. That is why trading feels like it exposes you, because it does. Trading is also hard because you are always alone with your decisions. Even when you learn from others, even when you watch videos, even when you follow guidance, in the end, the decision is yours, and that isolation is heavy. There is no shared responsibility, no team to spread the blame, no comfort in numbers, just you and the result. Most people are not comfortable being alone with responsibility. They want confirmation. They want agreement. They want reassurance. Trading rarely gives that. It asks you to trust yourself before you fully trust yourself, and that is uncomfortable. Trading is hard because it punishes emotional memory. You remember losses more than wins. You remember pain more than success. So after a few bad experiences, your mind starts protecting you. It hesitates, it doubts, it pulls you back. Not because it wants you to fail, but because it wants you to survive. Fear is not the enemy. Fear is a signal, but if you do not understand it, it will control you. Fear makes you exit early. Fear makes you skip good opportunities. Fear makes you see danger everywhere. And when fear leads, trading becomes exhausting. Trading is also hard because it creates internal conflict. Part of you wants growth. Another part wants safety. One part wants to act. Another part wants to hide. These parts argue inside you. Every decision becomes heavy. Every click feels loaded. This internal conflict drains energy, and drained energy leads to mistakes. Trading is hard because it requires emotional alignment. Your mind and your actions must agree. Most people have a gap there. They know what to do, but they cannot do it consistently. Not because they are lazy, but because emotions are louder than logic. Logic speaks calmly. Emotion shouts. And when pressure rises, the louder voice wins. Trading exposes this gap relentlessly. Trading is hard because it does not reward effort evenly. You can do everything right and still lose. You can do many things wrong and still win. This confuses the brain because the brain wants fairness. It wants clear cause and effect. Trading does not offer that in the short term. It only offers it over time. And trusting time is difficult when emotions are involved. Trading is also hard because it reveals impatience with progress. You want to see improvement quickly, but improvement in trading is subtle. It shows up as fewer mistakes, calmer reactions, better waiting, less emotional response. These changes are invisible at first, so you feel stuck even when you are growing, and that feeling of stagnation creates frustration. Frustration pushes you to change things too early, and early changes reset progress. This cycle makes trading feel endless. Trading is hard because it demands consistency in an inconsistent world. Your mood changes, your energy changes, your confidence changes, but your behavior must remain stable. That is difficult. It requires discipline beyond motivation. Discipline that shows up even when you do not feel like it. Most people rely on motivation. Trading punishes that. Motivation fades, habits remain. Trading is hard because it forces you to confront impatience with yourself. You expect yourself to learn faster, to be better already, to not make the same mistakes again. When you do, you get angry. That anger creates pressure. Pressure creates mistakes. Mistakes create more anger. And suddenly, trading feels like a battle. But the battle is not with the market. It is with your expectations of yourself. Trading is hard because it requires humility, not once, constantly. The humility to accept you are still learning. The humility to accept you do not control outcomes. The humility to accept that progress takes time. Ego hates this. Ego wants recognition. Ego wants proof. Ego wants certainty. Trading gives none of that. So ego fights back. And when ego leads, discipline disappears. Trading is also hard because it makes you confront silence. There are long periods where nothing happens. No action, no excitement, no reward, just waiting. Silence makes people uncomfortable. It brings thoughts, doubts, questions, fear. Most people fill silence with action. Trading punishes that. It rewards silence. And learning to be comfortable in silence takes time. Trading is hard because it requires emotional recovery, not just after losses, after wins too. Wins create excitement. Excitement lowers discipline. Lowered discipline creates mistakes. So you must recover emotionally even when things go well. This is counterintuitive. Most people only try to manage emotions when things go wrong. Trading demands emotional balance at all times. Trading is hard because it is honest, brutally honest. It shows you where you are disciplined and where you are not. It shows you where you are patient and where you are impulsive. It shows you where you are calm and where you are fearful. There is nowhere to hide, and honesty without preparation feels harsh. But honesty is what creates growth. If you stay long enough, if you stop running from discomfort, if you stop blaming yourself, if you stop blaming the market, if you start listening instead of reacting, you begin to see trading differently. You stop asking, why is this so hard for me? And start asking, what is this teaching me about myself? That question changes everything. Because now, trading is no longer a test, you are failing. It is a process, you are learning, and learning is allowed to be uncomfortable. Learning is allowed to be slow. Learning is allowed to include mistakes. Trading is hard because it demands you grow as a person, not just as a trader. And personal growth is never easy, but it is always worth it, because growth always asks something from you before it gives anything back. And trading asks for more than most people expect. It asks you to become aware of how you think under pressure, how you behave when outcomes are uncertain, how you treat yourself when things do not go your way. Most people have never had to look at these things so closely. Life usually gives space to recover. Trading does not. It compresses experience. Wins and losses arrive faster. Emotions rise quicker. Consequences feel sharper. And when everything is compressed, weaknesses show up faster too. That is why trading feels overwhelming. Not because it is unfair, but because it is honest. Trading is hard for you because it does not allow you to escape responsibility. In many parts of life, responsibility is shared. At work, systems exist. In school, rules guide you. In relationships, emotions are mutual. In trading, responsibility is absolute. Every decision is yours. Every outcome traces back to your action or inaction. This level of responsibility is rare, and when you are not used to it, it feels heavy. Responsibility creates pressure. Pressure exposes habits. Habits determine results. Trading is also hard because it challenges your relationship with money. Money is not just currency. It is safety. It is pride. It is identity. It is freedom. So when money moves against you, your mind reacts as if something important is threatened. Your body responds. Your thoughts race. Your focus narrows. This reaction is natural, but if you do not train it, it will control you. Trading becomes difficult when your emotional response to money is stronger than your discipline. Trading is hard because it forces you to wait without reward. Waiting in life usually comes with reassurance. Someone tells you it will be okay. Someone gives you a timeline. Someone confirms progress. Trading gives none of that. You wait without knowing. You wait without feedback. You wait without certainty. And waiting without reassurance feels like risk. So your mind tries to escape waiting by acting. That is where mistakes happen. Trading is hard because it punishes emotional action. But emotional action is how most people are wired to respond to uncertainty. Trading asks you to rewire that response, to pause instead of react, to observe instead of act, to accept instead of force. This goes against instinct. And anything that goes against instinct feels hard at first. Trading is also hard because it does not reward hope. Hope feels positive. Hope feels motivating. Hope feels human. But hope makes you hold too long. It makes you wait for things to turn around. It makes you ignore signs. The market does not respond to hope. It responds to discipline. Letting go of hope feels cold, but it is necessary. And learning to release hope without becoming negative takes maturity. Trading is hard because it requires emotional discipline when you least feel like being disciplined. After losses, after wins, after frustration, after excitement, the moments where discipline matters most are the moments where emotions are strongest. This creates conflict, and conflict drains energy. Trading is hard because it requires consistency when your internal state is inconsistent. Some days you feel confident. Some days you feel tired. Some days you feel distracted. Some days you feel emotional, but your behavior must remain steady. That gap between how you feel and how you must act is difficult, and closing that gap takes time. Trading is hard because it exposes impatience with learning. You want to be good now. You want results now. You want proof now. But learning trading is not linear. Progress is invisible at first. You improve internally before results show externally. This delay creates doubt, and doubt pushes people to change things too early, which resets progress, and the cycle continues. Trading is hard because it removes the illusion of control. You can do everything right and still lose. You can do many things wrong and still win. This breaks the brain's desire for certainty. So the brain looks for patterns that are not real. It looks for control where there is none. And when it cannot find it, frustration grows. Trading is hard because it asks you to trust probability instead of certainty. Trusting probability requires patience. Patience requires emotional strength. Emotional strength is not built quickly. Trading is hard because it reveals self-doubt. You question your decisions. You question your judgment. You question your ability. Every mistake feels like confirmation, but self-doubt is not proof of failure. It is a signal that confidence is still developing. Confidence in trading is not belief in winning. It is belief in your ability to follow rules consistently. That belief takes time to build. Trading is hard because it forces you to slow down in a world that celebrates speed. Everything around you rewards fast action, fast results, fast success. Trading rewards the opposite: slow thinking, careful action, patience. This disconnect creates frustration. You feel like you are moving backward, when in reality, you are building stability. Trading is hard because it requires you to separate self-worth from outcomes. This is one of the hardest skills. Losses feel personal, wins feel validating, and when your self-worth moves with outcomes, emotions control you. Learning to detach takes time, but without detachment, trading will always feel painful. Trading is hard because it demands emotional recovery, not just after losses, but after wins. You must return to neutral again and again. Neutral is boring, but neutral is powerful. Neutral allows clarity. Clarity allows discipline. Trading is hard because it requires long-term thinking in a short-term environment. Every screen update feels urgent. Every move feels important, but most moves do not matter. Learning what matters and what does not takes experience, and experience takes time. Trading is hard because it strips away illusions. The illusion that effort always pays immediately. The illusion that intelligence guarantees success. The illusion that wanting something badly makes it happen. Trading replaces these illusions with truth. Truth feels uncomfortable before it feels freeing. But once you accept this truth, something shifts. You stop fighting the market. You stop fighting yourself. You start working on what actually matters: your behavior, your patience, your discipline, your emotional control. Trading does not become easy, but it becomes understandable, and understanding removes fear. You realize that trading is hard not because you are incapable, but because you are in the process of becoming capable, and that process is uncomfortable by nature. If you stay with it, if you stop rushing, if you stop blaming, if you stop chasing, if you start observing, if you start adjusting calmly, you will notice something powerful. Trading no longer feels like chaos. It feels like a challenge you can manage, one decision at a time, one habit at a time, one calm moment at a time. And that is how difficulty turns into discipline. And discipline eventually turns into consistency. Because once discipline begins to form, the struggle starts to change shape. It no longer feels like confusion. It feels like resistance. Resistance to slowing down, resistance to waiting, resistance to doing less when your emotions want to do more. This is a new phase, and it is one of the hardest ones. Trading is hard for you here because this is the stage where awareness has arrived, but mastery has not yet settled in. You now see your mistakes more clearly. You notice when you rush. You feel when you act emotionally. You recognize when you break your own rules. And that awareness can feel painful because before, mistakes were invisible. Now they are obvious, and obvious mistakes hurt the ego. This is where many people quit, not because they are failing, but because growth feels uncomfortable. Trading is hard at this stage because your old habits are still alive and your new habits are still weak. There is a gap, and living inside that gap is frustrating. You know what you should do, but you still struggle to do it consistently. This creates self-criticism, and self-criticism creates tension. Tension creates mistakes, and the cycle repeats. But this stage is not failure. It is transition. You are unlearning, and unlearning always feels harder than learning. Trading is also hard because consistency feels boring compared to chaos. Chaos gives adrenaline. Consistency gives calm. Your nervous system is still adjusting. It is used to stimulation, to action, to urgency. Calm feels empty at first, so your mind looks for reasons to act. It creates urgency where none exists. This is why patience feels difficult. You are not addicted to trading. You are addicted to stimulation. Trading exposes that. And learning to sit without stimulation is a skill. Trading is hard because it forces you to confront your relationship with control. You want to control outcomes. You want to control timing. You want to control results. But trading teaches you that control is limited. You control preparation. You control execution. You control risk. Everything else is out of your hands. Letting go of control feels like weakness, but it is actually maturity. And maturity is uncomfortable at first. Trading is hard because you are learning to trust yourself without constant reassurance. There is no one telling you, good job. No one telling you this is right. No one confirming your decisions. You must become your own authority. That takes time. Until then, doubt will appear often. Doubt does not mean you are wrong. It means trust is still being built. Trading is hard because it forces you to face impatience with progress. You want visible improvement, but the first improvements are internal. You react less. You pause more. You recover faster. You think clearer. These changes do not show on the screen immediately, so you feel like nothing is happening, but something important is happening. Your foundation is forming. Trading is hard because it exposes the gap between who you are now and who you want to become. That gap creates discomfort. Discomfort creates desire to escape. Escape leads to impulsive actions. This is why you feel tempted to change strategies, to jump to something new, to look for something easier. But the problem is not the method. It is the discomfort of growth. Trading is hard because it does not let you lie to yourself. You cannot pretend to be disciplined. You cannot pretend to be patient. The market shows you the truth through your results, and truth without ego protection hurts. But truth is also what sets you free. Trading is hard because it forces you to accept that mastery takes time, more time than you want, more time than you planned, more time than your ego is comfortable with. But time is not wasted here. Time is shaping you. Every day you show up and choose discipline, you are building something invisible but powerful. Trading is hard because it challenges your belief about success. You were taught that success looks loud, fast, obvious. Trading success is quiet, slow, subtle, and learning to value quiet progress over loud wins takes maturity. Trading is hard because it requires emotional strength before financial reward. Most people expect the opposite. They want money first, then peace. Trading gives peace first, then money. If you reject a piece, the money will not stay. Trading is hard because it asks you to change who you are under pressure, not just what you do. That kind of change is deep, and deep change is slow, but it is lasting. You are not broken because trading feels hard. You are being reshaped, and reshaping feels uncomfortable. Trading is hard because it removes shortcuts. It removes fantasies. It removes illusions. It replaces them with discipline, patience, and self-control. Those qualities are not exciting, but they are powerful. If you stay long enough, something begins to happen. The noise in your mind starts to fade. Your reactions slow down. Your decisions feel clearer. You stop feeling like you are constantly fighting. You still feel pressure, but it no longer controls you. You still feel fear, but you do not obey it. You still make mistakes, but they do not destroy your confidence. Trading does not become easy, but it becomes manageable, and manageable is enough, because once something is manageable, you can improve it one habit at a time, one decision at a time, one calm moment at a time. You begin to realize that trading was hard for you because it was changing you, and change always feels hard before it feels natural. The difficulty was never a sign to quit. It was a sign that growth was happening, and growth, when respected, always leads somewhere better. Because now you are standing at the point most people never reach, the point where you finally see the truth. Trading was never hard because the market was against you. It was hard because it was asking you to become someone different, someone calmer, someone more patient, someone more disciplined, someone more honest. And becoming that person is not easy. Trading feels hard for you because it removes the illusion that success is external, that it comes from tools, from information, from secrets, from speed. Trading slowly teaches you that success is internal. It comes from how you think under pressure, how you behave under uncertainty, how you respond to loss, how you handle silence. Most people are not prepared for this lesson. That is why they leave. Not because trading defeated them, but because they were not ready to face themselves. Trading is hard because it does not meet you where you wish you were. It meets you where you are, and that gap hurts. You see your impatience. You see your fear. You see your desire to rush. You see your need for certainty. You see your avoidance of discomfort. The market shows all of this without judgment, but your ego judges it harshly, and that judgment is what creates pain. Trading becomes easier the moment you stop judging yourself. The moment you stop saying, I should be better by now. The moment you stop comparing your pace to others. The moment you accept that mastery takes time. Acceptance does not make you weak. It makes you stable. And stability is what trading respects. Trading is hard because it asks you to stop fighting reality. The market will move. Wins will come. Losses will come. Uncertainty will remain. Waiting will be required. Once you stop resisting these truths, the weight lifts. Not because trading changes, but because you do. Trading is hard because you expected confidence before discipline, but confidence comes after discipline. You expected clarity before patience, but clarity comes after waiting. You expected comfort before growth, but comfort comes after consistency. This order cannot be skipped. Those who try to skip it suffer the most. Trading is hard because it teaches you delayed gratification. And delayed gratification is rare in the modern world. You are surrounded by instant feedback, instant rewards, instant stimulation. Trading offers none of that. It offers slow progress, quiet improvement, invisible growth, and trusting invisible growth takes strength. Trading is hard because it teaches you that you cannot rush transformation. You cannot rush emotional maturity. You cannot rush self-control. You cannot rush discipline. You must live through repetition, through boredom, through frustration, through doubt, until calm becomes natural. And natural calm is what allows consistency. Trading is hard because it demands integrity, not public integrity, private integrity. What you do when no one is watching, when no one is praising you, when no one is correcting you, that level of integrity is uncomfortable, but it builds trust in yourself, and self-trust is the strongest foundation you can have. Trading is hard because it removes excuses. There is no one else to blame, no one else to credit, just you. And responsibility without escape feels heavy until you realize something powerful. Responsibility is freedom. When you accept full responsibility, you gain control over what matters. Your behavior, your habits, your decisions. That is where your power lives. Trading is hard because it strips away fantasy. The fantasy of fast money, the fantasy of easy success, the fantasy of shortcuts. What remains is truth. Truth is not exciting, but truth is stable, and stability is what creates long-term success. Trading is hard because it forces you to build patience before profit, peace before progress, control before confidence. Those who reject this order suffer. Those who accept it grow. Slowly, quietly, properly. You are not weak because trading is hard for you. You are early. You are learning. You are being reshaped, and reshaping is uncomfortable, but reshaping is necessary if you stay. If you stop fighting, if you stop rushing, if you stop blaming, if you stop chasing, if you start observing, if you start adjusting calmly, trading will not suddenly become easy, but it will become honest, clear, manageable, and that is enough. Because once something is manageable, you can improve it. Once you understand why trading is hard for you, it stops feeling personal. It stops feeling like failure. It starts feeling like a path, a difficult one, but a real one. And real paths lead somewhere. The market was never asking you to be perfect. It was asking you to be disciplined, patient, consistent, self-aware. Those qualities are built, not found, not bought, not copied, built over time, through effort, through mistakes, through reflection, through growth. Trading is hard for you because it is changing you. And change is always uncomfortable at first. But if you allow it, if you respect it, if you stay long enough, one day you will look back and realize something quietly powerful. Trading stopped being hard when you stopped trying to force it, when you stopped trying to prove yourself, when you stopped trying to escape discomfort and started becoming someone who could sit with it. That moment is when everything begins to shift, not on your screen, but inside you. And that is where real trading skill is born.